we're going to switch it up a little today. We're going to talk about foreign policy. I also got scolded by my mom because she's noticed that some of my videos recently I've been swearing a lot. So we're going to try to tone it down this time and have a very straightforward conversation as much as possible. All right, well, let's have a conversation about Argentina beef, the bailout we just did of Argentina. So what's happening? So Argentina, beautiful country, great country. Used to be one of the richest countries in the world, if you actually look this up. But they've gone through a lot of bad leadership. And really the economy of Argentina has continued to devolve. They just elected a new president. He's a little wacky. We all have wacky presidents, so that's not really the issue here. The issue here is that this president, our President Trump, has decided to help out the president of Argentina out of his predicament. What is his predicament? The Argentine peso is dropping. It's being devalued. Why is it being devalued? Because no one believes that the Argentine government can actually pay their bills, and nobody wants to continue to take out debt to pay for those bills. So every time they float bonds in the open market, no one really is buying these Argentinian bonds, and so therefore the Argentine peso is worthless. So what does he do? So President Milei, I think that's how you say his name, contacts his buddy Besant, probably through one of his bondholder buddies out of New York City, and says, we need a loan. And what does that mean? It means that if they don't give him a loan, that means that the Argentinian government will go to default. They won't pay their bonds, and there's a lot of rich New York bond holders that are friends with Besant, that are friends with Donald Trump, that I'm sure want to be helped. So right now, in the middle of a shutdown, where we're trying to figure out how to both reopen government and fund our healthcare, we're going and we're funding Argentinian healthcare using U.S. taxpayer dollars. Because the reason why Argentina is going into the tank is because they have such a generous system when it comes to universal healthcare system. And we are giving them $40 billion for them to use to prop up their economy. And it's not even a loan, because a loan's a little more secure. It's a credit swap. What does that mean? We took $40 billion worth of Argentinian pesos that are equivalent to US dollars as our collateral. The only problem with that is if the economy goes into the tank and the Argentinian peso devalues further, those $40 billion worth of Argentinian pesos will start dropping very, very quickly. This is a bad deal, totally bad deal. Now, how can you make it worse? Well, here's how you can make it worse. You start importing Argentinian meat, which right now is going through hoof and mouth disease. We're going to start importing their beef, which is not great for our system. And at the same time, these guys are going and underselling our U.S. markets overseas when it comes to soybean production. So all around, I have zero clue how the United States is winning out of this. All we're doing is propping up the Argentinian government because the President Trump and President of Argentina are buddies, but you're paying for it at the end. If you're a soybean farmer, the people that are underselling and selling more soybeans than us is Argentina. If you're a rancher or if you're worried about food safety, we're about to import a ton of Argentinian beef to prop up their economy and essentially hurting our domestic market, as well as potentially making our meat market a little more unstable. And as a taxpayer, our $40 billion is probably not going to come back at all, or if it will be diminished, while at the same time, we're getting screwed when it comes to our healthcare here at ACA, and we're propping up the Argentinian healthcare system. So make America great again, America first, all that stuff was BS, because clearly this is about taking care of his buddies and not about taking care of you, the American taxpayer. Other area that's not great right now is Venezuela. This president is trying to conduct an illegal war and he's murdering civilians.
Today, the Trump administration released footage of a strike that took place on October 17th. It's the seventh known U.S. strike on alleged drug vessels since last month, which have killed over 30 people. The military actions are causing tensions between the U.S., Venezuela, and now Colombia.
Ostensibly, some of these civilians are people that are trying to traffic drugs, and that may be the case. And if that's the case, what we should do is you should have the Coast Guard pick them up and we try them. We don't just execute people without any court. Not only that, but it makes it look horrible to our world partners that we need to help us down in South America. We don't know if these guys are actually coming to the United States. All we know is that they're leaving Venezuela and moving somewhere, but they're not taking that boat all the way to the United States. They're very small boats. And yet we're using the power of the U.S. military to kill these men. And at the same time, we're saying like these guys are all dangerous and they're criminal. But for example, we just blew up a boat, took 2 of the survivors, picked them up, put them on one of our Navy ships, and then returned them to their home countries. If they're such big criminals that we had to essentially drone them from the sky to kill them for being dangerous and try to, move drugs, why are we releasing them back to their countries, right? So none of this policy makes sense. In my opinion, this is just Trump and Hegseths want to play gods with our troops, with our capabilities, but it's very dangerous. No government should be able to summarily execute anybody without any type of proof or any type of court, and it's just not the way that we should be doing things in the United States. It's not all bad news. Finally, Donald Trump imposed some very heavy sanctions on 2 Russian oil companies. What does that matter? Russia basically is a massive country that only exists because it could pump gas. It's got no other innovation. If it wasn't for the fact that it could pump gas, it had nuclear weapons, it would be a backwater country. And so we're not taking the nuclear weapons away, obviously, but their capabilities to be able to conduct this illegal war against Ukraine is entirely paid for by gas. And so for many years, we've been trying to get the Europeans to get off Russian gas, and they were able to largely, pretty recently got rid of most of their dependence on it, but China and India were still buying their gas. And we were trying to speak nicely to them, and I think finally the president got frustrated with Putin for personal reasons, not necessarily for geopolitical or national interest reasons, and decided to put sanctions on those 2 companies. So it's going to be very difficult for them to sell their gasoline. So good, finally it happened. The problem with when you deal with somebody like this with Donald Trump, this could switchly turn back. He's had some kind of weird special relationship with Putin. And we really need to go further and put secondary sanctions on everything. I wish we had done it sooner. I think Biden should have done it sooner. He should have been more aggressive on a lot of these things. Both administrations should be better about arming Ukraine, giving them the weapons they need to really take the fight to Russia and, make them have to make some hard decisions. Because right now Russia is able to, push further and further, slowly, but further into Ukraine because they're able to set up and attack from fairly far out. We need to give Ukrainians the intelligence and the capability for them to reach out and touch bases and wherever these Russian troops are setting up. So good luck. Talk to you soon.